George Roach, of course, the CEO of Premier African Minerals, following an update on the ongoing optimisation and commissioning of the spodumene production at Zulu Lithium. Well, George, thank you for your time. How are things?
Yes, Mark, thank you. It's always nice to talk to you. Yes, I am reasonably comfortable at the moment with where we are, as are our OEMs and others.
Okay, well, I've got the RNS. It's a fairly short RNS. Your comment, very short. You say you're generally pleased. And then earlier in the RNS, it talks about changes set out in the previous announcement have been implemented or are being implemented, and you continue to deal with optimization and commissioning issues. Normally to be expected. So I want to just understand that a bit more. I mean, generally pleased says to me that it's so-so. You're not over the moon, but it's not, things are going okay. But just in your own words, from this last 7-day test run, how are you feeling and the team about the ongoing optimization?
Mark, I think just let me just step back ever so slightly and just deal with what's required under optimization and make the point that it's only very recently that we had the funding and we were able to start bringing the final float section of this plant properly to life and properly to optimize and properly to commission. And for example, when I talk about commissioning, you may have a blockage in a pipeline. And in terms of going and unblocking it, one then establishes what caused it and what you need to do to ensure that it doesn't happen again. And this may be a program control issue that you need to resolve. It may be a flushing line issue that you may need to resolve. It could be a number of different things. Now, none of these require additional plant or equipment, but it may require a minor rerouting, a change of a setting on a valve or something like that. Now, these are all normal processes in the full commissioning and optimization process to get consistently exactly what material you want to float absolutely correctly and at the right recovery and grades. Now, there is a lot of this work ongoing. This is a complex plant. And when it is finally all put together correctly, it's automatic, but you've got to get it to that point. And we are working our way through all of these different phases. We have some very competent and very senior people from the OEMs working with us at the moment. I believe this is the final points and so on we need to go through. So that is really where we are at the moment.
Okay. I mean, on the one hand, if it's not big issues or costly issues, that's a good thing because you don't have to worry about having to procure additional equipment or indeed wait for it to arrive and those bigger delays. But on the other hand, with it being small problems, of course, it's not a cheap operation to run consistently, is it? I mean, could these small problems become a real pain because it sort of forces you to stop, and then you have to kind of start up again? How many times can you continue to do that before it becomes perhaps a bit of a burden?
Well, Mark, this isn't something that continues once you've been down the commissioning route. I mean, I can give an example of a cyclone that needs to split particle size and or dewater. And it may need some adjustment. The pressures that go into it may need small adjustments. The outlet size, the spigot size may need some adjustment. These are things that you adjust as you go through. Once it's done, it's done. But it is a process, and it is a case of getting all of this in proper balance, properly and completely, making sure that from the automation side of this, that one correctly assesses. And another example would be densities of material that relates back to how much reagent you must use. Now, this requires instrumentation that has to be calibrated in the field as you go through, as you work your way through all of this. As I've said, it's not a case of you've got to go and change a mold. We've been down that route. Those are not where the issues are. This is commissioning and optimization. That's what it is at the moment.
I was thinking more that if there's no sort of cash coming in from products sold at the moment, how many kind of test runs can you do with the smaller problems before it becomes like unaffordable, let's say, to run a test run? I mean, that's all I'm thinking really. If there's these small problems and you're sort of having to then stop the test run and start it again a week later, could it carry on, or am I thinking too much about this?
Mark, let me try and answer it this way. In the context of where this plant is, the work that has been done, that we have proven the resource, that we know that the plant floats spodumene, we know how much we can recover, all the laboratory test work that has been done, I think it would be a travesty if we don't find a way to go through this final phase. It just doesn't make sense that one doesn't work your way through it. I think that from many people, from an offtake perspective, I think there's an understanding of this phase that we're in. But as I say, in the context of where we are and what we've done so far, this is something that we must finish. We must finish properly and adequately.
Okay, good. And what's it like on site? I mean, how many people are on site working on this?
There must be, from an OEM perspective at the moment, we've had more than 30 people at site working with us. It's significant, and from a number of different OEMs. They're not all there at the moment. Some of them have done and completed what they needed to do, for example, on the milling circuit, hydrosizers and things like that. There are still a number of them there, and they'll continue until we resolve all of this.
Okay. Just a couple of other points. Just the sorters were mentioned again. I think you say that they are not fit for purpose in the RNS there. But I know when we've talked about this before, you almost don't need them at this point. But I guess further down the line, as it gets into full production, you probably do want them. So there's a big cost element. But is it right to assume that at the moment that's not a major concern, and that will be something that's looked at to be replaced once production is fully established?
Mark, there are a couple of things with this. We have a workaround, but it's not a permanent long-term solution. We had to conduct a lot of additional test work. That test work has taken a long time. The report was only recently released. And it is appropriate that, based on the back of the report, that we look at replacing these things. I said more than a year ago that the sorters were not fit for purpose. There is a suggestion at the moment that I would be going into very, very carefully, that maybe the original plant contractor knew that they were not fit for purposes, despite all his denials and despite the fact that they've been supplied. It is necessary that we do it. It's not necessary that I do it to facilitate, stop, or start this phase that we're in at the moment. But from a longer-term perspective, it has to be done. We have a lot of cooperation from the company that will almost certainly supply the sorters, and some of them are available very, very quickly. So that's where the discussion is at the moment with them.
Okay. And I did notice tantalum was actually mentioned, I think, maybe not for the first time, but it's not often tantalum's mentioned in an RNS here, where you're looking at actually completing that recovery circuit, saying that you've had interest from several parties. So I'm quite keen to know who those parties are. You probably can't disclose. It'd be nice if it was some of the parties that were already associated with Prem. But you're obviously feeling at the moment it's a good time to be looking properly at the tantalum recovery.
Mark, we've never stopped looking at it. I was busy replying to an email just before this call with you, where somebody was querying why I'm looking at tantalum. Well, I need to remind everybody that what we are mining is what is called an LCT pegmatite. The T stands for tantalum. Most of the pegmatites in Zimbabwe and in many parts of Africa were recognized for spodumene only because tantalum had been mined and identified many years historically. At the moment, we extract material, we mine it, crush it, mill it, and at that point in time, what we've done in terms of recovery of tantalum is built into the cost of producing spodumene. And then what we do is we take that tantalum and dump it on a tailings pond. If we have somebody who's saying to us, what does it cost for us to come in, buy that tantalum, and fund that piece of equipment to concentrate the tantalum, can we have a conversation with you and do it? And that's where we are with this. It's never been a case of it's suddenly an extra add-on or a distraction or anything like that. It is a fact that the recovery of tantalum in a resource such as ours supports the long-term sustainability of what is a very good industrial minerals project. So
Okay.
no digression, no nothing, no additional costs or anything. It is simply appropriate. We're milling the stuff. We're going to be producing the spodumene. What must do? Go and dump this tantalum on a tailings pond? When somebody says, "Oi, tell me what it's going to cost and maybe I'll fund it and maybe I'll take it away from you."
Right. So that is a conversation that's going on at the moment.
Absolutely.
Okay. You can't say who. I'm going to ask you anyway, but...
But Mark, there's probably 4 or 5 different people who want to do it.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, it's nice to see that sort of, being advanced, let's say, a bit more in the public eye. Okay, so where we're at then, George, at the moment, just to summarise, I know you were looking at, you've got some other optimization things to do. Last time we spoke about this other reagent you would put back in that you tested in the previous run. Getting that grind size, that was important as well in the comminution circuit. So can you summarise some of the things, or are they very niggly pieces, and set up the timeline for the next, I don't know, the next test run, the next 7, 10, 14 days, if you can?
Mark, ongoing, as the plant is running right now, ongoing, there is continuous work in terms of optimizing the exact PSD size that you want. There is more media that is added to the mill. There is a small adjustment in speed that has happened with the mill. There is ongoing work with the thickener, seeing how much material we can get into it. There is ongoing optimization of flows. There is ongoing checking of densities to make sure we get the right amount of reagent dosed. There is work in terms of exactly where one should dose the reagents, into which of the conditioning tanks, scrubbers, or exactly where it should be dosed. There is ongoing work in terms of froth bed depths on each of the flotation cells. How deep should they be? There are so many of these issues that are ongoing. Now, all of this falls into place as one slowly gets to the point where you've got complete optimization and the OEM says to us, right, that is the best that we can do. At that point in time, you're going to have to fix this. We are then going to have to go through an assessment with our off-takers, potential off-takers, and so on. That will help us determine whether or not we must go for this additional float plant that is sitting in Harare. Civils are complete for this float plant. They're all sitting there waiting. But we need to take a decision. Should we do it or shouldn't we do it? And there are a lot of factors associated with that decision that need to be discussed, not the least of which is the final optimization in terms of the plant as it stands.
Okay, good. And you say that soon. So if it's ongoing at the moment, then it's, I guess we'll hear about that.
Well, I've indicated that we need to take this decision in terms of what we're going to do, whether or not to finish taking this Chinese plant or not, within the next probably 7 to 10 days, maybe even quicker. Okay. We need to take that decision.
Okay, good. And just finally, have you done any other testing on this recent run? Is anything changed in terms of the grade you were getting? I think we were talking about 5, and you were sort of hopeful maybe for 6. I don't know if you can say if you've done any further testing, just out of interest, if anything's changed since the last test run.
Mark, there are so many different things that and so many different variables with this. And many of the optimization steps that we've taken in the past week or so have resulted in some long periods where we haven't run the plant. For example, modifications to the thickener to allow us to get more material and hopefully prevent blockages in the thickener going forward. That takes time. So I don't really want to get into too much detail in terms of grades and recoveries and so on. Let me just repeat once more that the plant has demonstrated, our laboratories have demonstrated, and we continue to demonstrate, and we continue to review every morning the fact that this is a spodumene deposit, that we recover spodumene from it, and that the objectives remain exactly the same. Finish this optimization, maximize on grade, then maximize on recovery.
Okay. George, thank you very much for your time. As always, let's catch up again when we can.
Thank you very much indeed, Mark. Take care.
If you enjoyed this interview, then give us a thumbs up, a like or a retweet. Subscribe to us on YouTube or follow us on Twitter and hit that notification bell to be the first to know when we release new content. There's loads of great content on our website too, across all our programs at stockboxmedia.com. Thank you for watching.